Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Mo Show Live. This is Marshall Lillian Ball, and I'm really excited about today's show. You know, a lot of you know that I have a passion for education and certainly have a tie to an education with a wife who's an educator. And, you know, we hear a lot of people talk about that, you know, our children are our future. And education certainly is where it starts. Our children are really shaped by a lot of things in today's world. One of, you know, our family and their close friends and their circle around them. But our education system and our educators really form a lot of basis of where they find their interest and things they like and do. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm really excited to have Robby Parker on the show today. He's the superintendent of Madison City Schools. I would ask everybody to please like and share our page and like and share this video. Remember, the show is live right now, so if you've got questions or comments, we'll try to get to them a little later in the show, but please remember to do that. So, you know, Robby, let me introduce you. So this is Robby Parker. Robby is a lifetime educator. He has been an in-classroom teacher. He's been a coach. He's been the principal at Bob Jones High School. He was the assistant superintendent of Madison City Schools and is now the superintendent of Madison City Schools. Robby, thank you so much for being on the Mo Show today. How are you?
Well, glad to be here, Morris. I'm very excited to be able to talk about our story, man. It's always exciting when I talk about our kids in Madison. That's always a good thing.
Well, it is, and you know, certainly I've got a tie. I'm biased because I have a tie to a son that goes to school there and a wife that teaches there, and certainly here at my office we have a tie there with Sylvia's husband being the basketball coach here at Bob Jones, But, you know, Madison is just a great system, and I really thought I wanted to have you on today, kind of talk about the state of public education a little bit, but talk about what's going on, the exciting changes and things that are going on in Madison. You know, one of the things that, you know, I thought I'd kind of ask you is, you know, you've been doing this, how long, Robby? How long have you been in public education?
Sorry, ask me again?
How long have you been in education?
I'm beginning my 30th year all in Madison. This will be the beginning of my 30th year. So I was, just like you said, I was a school teacher for 12 years. Then I was an assistant principal at Bob Jones. And for a semester at Liberty, I went to Liberty for a semester of that. And then I was principal at Discovery Middle School for 3 years. And then I came back and I was principal at Bob Jones the last 10 of being in the class or being in school. And then I was assistant superintendent for a year and a half, and now I've been the superintendent for 5 months. So I had it all up, and I'm starting my 30th year.
Well, you know, one of the things you hear a lot of things about, you know, how things have changed, how kids have changed, how everything's changed. I'm just curious, do you think there is a really big change in today's students versus when you would have started 25, 30 years ago? In terms of how they, you know, interact and learning and that kind of thing?
I don't know that kids are any different per se. I mean, kids are kids. I think there's a big change in the expectation of parents. I do believe that, and that's just like anything else, it's different. But I think the expectation is from our community, especially the Madison community, is that our kids are not just prepared, but prepared to be state, national, and world leaders. And so the expectations in the city of Madison are very high. Kids are certainly different in this respect, though. Kids are multitaskers today. There's not a lot of quiet time. There's not a lot of sit and get, as we used to talk about, the teachers, the lecturer. Morris, here's the biggest difference is when I became a teacher, I was the giver of knowledge. I mean, the kids either got knowledge from the encyclopedias or a textbook. I was the giver of knowledge. Now as a teacher, our teachers are still givers of knowledge, certainly, but everything that you want's right here. I mean, they got every bit of knowledge. You're gonna listen. I don't know much about about the profession of being an attorney, but I'm telling you, there's nothing you could ask me that I couldn't answer. If you give me 2 minutes and a signal, I could answer. No, I couldn't apply it. I couldn't tell you what it meant, but I could give you an answer. And so the teacher's job today is much more of an application. Now, we're still the givers of knowledge, but it's about learning to apply it, because just straight rote knowledge is in our hands. So that's the biggest difference.
Well, I think that's a great point, and I think from what I've seen on the outside looking in, that your school system does a great job of embracing technology, not only in the classroom, but using it in all kinds of applications for the students to further their education and the extracurricular activities and things they do in the school system.
Yeah, we certainly, when I was a principal at Bob Jones in about 2006, 2007, it was a big penalty if you had a cell phone out, or if you had I go all the way back to the early 90s. If you had a beeper, you were suspended for 5 days. I mean, if you brought a beeper in, oh, boy, that's a big deal then, because beepers were used for, certainly that was the perception. But about 2006, 2007, most kids started getting phones, and maybe even earlier, but certainly all the kids had phones. And we had to we were the first one in the system, obviously being the only high school in the system. We began a fundamental change of, why are we fighting the kids having cell phones? Why are we taking them up? Let's use them. Let them use them. I don't care. To begin with, they say, well, because they're texting their buddies. Well, if you're in the hall or in the cafeteria, why do we care if they're texting their buddies? We don't care. And so we had to make a change to say, we don't care if you've got a cell phone. In fact, we want you to use it in the class. Now, if it's appropriate, it's no different. See, the cell phone today is like a tool. Back when I was in school, teachers graded. If you had your math book or your history book and you're supposed to be reading, you put your Sports Illustrated in there, and you're really reading your Sports Illustrated. And the question, well, what happened if the teacher caught you with it? Well, she'd tell you to put it up. If you had it out 3 or 4 times, she'd take it up. Well, same thing with the cell phone. When we first started, teachers said, well, what happens if they got it out? Well, you tell them to put it up. No different than if they got a magazine out. You tell them, but if they continue to have it out, then you'll take it up and we'll address it. No different than a magazine. But we're going to use it as a tool. And today, of course, in 2017, it's a tremendously powerful tool. So yes, we are all about technology for our kids. I can promise you, in your profession, my profession, I can't hardly do without this thing.
Yeah.
And it's to me, people know search things. So how, yeah.
It's a game changer, and I can tell you as a parent of an elementary student that not only are they using that at the high school level and the middle school level, that you go into the classroom and you see these, first and second graders and even kindergartners using iPads and things to take AR tests and it's doing research. So it's accelerating their learning at even a really young age.
Right. One thing that we're dealing with right now is we have certain programs and these programs, these software programs, they look at all of our testing data. It's all married. And so as a teacher is teaching a classroom of 26, obviously everybody is not at the same level. You have some students that are in different areas. Let's say in math, for instance, myself, I wasn't as strong a math student as other students in my elementary school classroom, for the sake of argument. And so while a teacher's teaching 26 kids and differentiating between 26 kids, now with a lot of the software we have, teachers can work with a small group here. Maybe your top 5 kids right here, and the other kids can be working with this software that is prescribing per the test data and per all the data they have on this child. It will create programs direct, especially for that child. And then the teacher might work with these 5 that are in a different level, and these other children can be working on these prescribed. So it's not about just turn to the back of the chapter and everybody answer problems 1 through 5. It's about a specific prescription for each child based on what their data shows that their needs are.
Yeah, I've got personal experience using that some with Wyatt, and he'll do some of the reading test and things, and then you can, as he takes the test, then it learns where his mistakes are, and then it'll start asking him future questions to try to strengthen areas that he may be deficient in, so he can improve there. And it's pretty sharp that it does that.
It's really neat. Yes.
And that kind of the school system, you and I were talking before we started that, it's amazing that the Madison City school system is fixing to embark, almost on its 20th year. So it's still a pretty young system, but the system itself has really grown. And now I think you've got 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, and am I right, 7 elementary schools?
That's correct. And a very large, one of the largest pre-K centers in the state on top of that. And so, yes, we doubled. When we began the system in 1998, we had about 5,000 students. This year, we'll start the year at over 10,300, probably closer to 10,500, but certainly over 10,000. And so we've more than doubled in our since we began as a system in '98. And with that, we've added on top of all the adding on and renovations, we've added a second high school. We've built on to both Liberty and Discovery, the middle schools. We've added Mill Creek. We added Rainbow, Columbia. So we've grown tremendously. Added on to Heritage. We've grown a lot. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. We've grown a lot.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good thing, and I think it speaks. Absolutely. People want to come to Madison. We have a lot of growth, economic growth here in the Tennessee Valley related to the defense industry and Redstone Arsenal and other businesses here. And when you hear people move into the area, a lot of times they want to try to find a way to get into Madison because of the Madison City Schools.
Right. Well, I'm biased, and I admit that. But I think that we serve, and all data shows that we've got one of the top systems in the state, one of the top in America as far as preparing our kids. And we're but touching the hem of the garment on how good we can be because we got great kids. We've got the best kids in America. Now, I'm biased, and I admit that. Both of my kids went through Madison City Schools from kindergarten to 12th grade. My oldest son has come back and is a teacher in Madison City. He is a teacher, a math teacher at James Clemens High School. My daughter-in-law teaches kindergarten at Heritage. Certainly both of those schools are on the west side of town. I grew up on the east side of town in the sense I grew up, I didn't go to school here, but I started teaching on the east side of town at Bob Jones, and I was at Bob Jones in Discovery. My wife is the secretary at Discovery. So I've got both sides of town covered. I've got the west side covered, and I've got the east side covered. So nobody can say I'm pulling for one or the other. I got them both covered. And and I'm very biased, and I admit that. But I will say that data shows that we've got one of America's best, and our kids from all of our schools are doing outstanding things, and we're producing world leaders is what we're producing.
No doubt about it, and you hear it everywhere you go, and it's a talking point. In the system, out of the system, and I hear that when I'm in town and out of town about people talking about how awesome our school system is. And you talked on one thing that I thought I'd like to kind of to touch on a little bit, and so our viewers can have a better understanding. And this was not something that really would have probably been around, when I was going to elementary school, and that's pre-K. Tell us a little bit about the pre-K system, and then the system in Madison, and what's what it is, what is it more than just babysitting? I know it is, but so our viewers can have an understanding of what that is, and tell us a little bit about the one specifically in Madison, and why is it getting such good attention?
Well, we actually got 2 pre-K centers in Madison, if you will. We've got 9 classes that we got through a grant through the state that it gives us. That for all of our pre-K kids. Now, every child there is typical. What I mean by that is the children there do not have a disability, and so as a rule, I should say. And I'm going to explain what I'm trying to say here in just a minute when I explain our other pre-K. But we've got 9 classes worth, so we've got a number of kids that are that are there. That's a time when students are the data shows, and we show this pretty often, where the kids that go to a pre-K are much more prepared once they get into kindergarten than students that maybe didn't have that opportunity. Now, there's there's some children may go to a church pre-K or something, but at Madison City Schools, our data shows that the kids that came to the Madison City Schools pre-K are much more prepared to start kindergarten than a child that did not. We also have a pre-K center at Mill Creek, and we've got 5 classes there. And we have children with disabilities there, but it's only 50% of the class is children with disabilities. The other 50% are children that are typical. And you get in by asking, by applying. But the children with disabilities, they don't have to ask. That's any child with a disability gets to come in, developmentally delayed child. And so we have 15 pre-K classes mixed throughout the system, and so we're very proud of that.
Yeah. Well, I assume, I guess a question that I've got, just kind of, not to be funny, but an elementary question is, is this something that it's my understanding there's limited space, and and are you looking to expand that, and is that more of a funding issue right now in terms of getting more funding to open the pre-K up to more students?
Yeah, the pre-K is unfunded. It's not funded by the state now. K through 12 is funded, but pre-K is not. We did receive a grant for our 9 pre-K classes that are just outside of Rainbow Elementary, and it's not right. There's a building just down from Rainbow. It's our pre-K center, and so those are funded through a grant through the state. The one at Mill Creek is not funded that way. It's funded through us, and so it's just a little bit different. But still, children with disabilities, we allow we are all the way down to 3 years old. Children with disabilities as young as 3 are in that particular pre-K center. So it's 3 and 4 year olds.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can, can find some more grants and some more funding to expand that, because I know it's an important need for traditional children and for children with disabilities, to try to help them get a head start and a leg up before they start kindergarten, so they can, have a better chance of success when they move on into kindergarten. The next thing I was going to kind of touch on that really struck me, when I moved into the area about the schools in Madison, where at the offering of classes and the way it's set up at the high school level, and I think even some at the middle school level, with the different tracks, you've got, thousands of students that are going to Bob Jones and James Clemens. They've got just a diverse background and interest in some might science, technology, some might have a medical background or a culinary background. Tell us a little bit about, how does the Madison City Schools deal with that in terms of, the tracks that they offer? I think people will be really surprised to hear what kind of classes and things are being offered in high school in Madison.
Well, at Bob Jones and James Clemens, we offered the same classes. And so I'll start with our advanced placement classes. We offer 27 advanced placement classes, which are college level classes, and you get college credit for them, but it's college level classes. That's the most that's offered in the state. We offer them both at James Clemens and at Bob Jones, and so we're very proud of that. But we also offer a lot of career tech classes. Our career tech classes are different internship classes, academies. We've got a biomedical academy. We've got a healthcare nursing academy. We've got an engineering academy. We've got a teaching and learning academy. And with our computer science, we have an academy in which they can do internships there. But all of these different academies that people can go through and sign up for, and go through these things. Ultimately, when you get to the top, you have a double block internship in which you go for half a day to the hospital and work in the hospital, or work at Hudson Alpha, or at a computer company, or an engineering firm. And so kids, when they get out, it's as much knowing what you want to do as knowing what you don't want to do. And so there's a lot of kids that they think, I don't really want to do that. And so we feel like it, but we also have kids that absolutely love it and find their interest, and they jump right in at college and they're way ahead of the game. So it's just a great opportunity for our kids to really dig in deep to some things.
Well, that's tremendous. I mean, it just really blows my mind that the students have the opportunity to really, at an early age, to start kind of at least exploring some things they may have an interest in, as you said, and then say, I'm not quite sure that may be my bent and where I want to go with it. And so they can kind of start filling that out, and it kind of helps them, point down that field, and then, or they may try something else that they weren't quite sure about, and then find a way that says, hey, I kind of like that. I'd like to check it out a little more. That's really cool. Well, I know that in addition to that and all of that, the schools have, just a tremendous amount of extracurricular activities and sports and things like that. And, from all your traditional sports programs to a lot of great other extracurricular activities and academic teams and chess clubs and robotics teams. But maybe just touch on a little bit about how that, in a general sense, how that is incorporated to give a more well-rounded experience for the schools and the emphasis that the system places on that.
But we'll start with the sport that's so visible. That's football. James Clemens and Bob Jones both have outstanding football programs. There was an article on AL.com just yesterday that showed the most dominating football programs in the state of Alabama, all the way from 1A to 7A, and Bob Jones was ranked 6th or 7th. I don't remember exactly where it was over the last 10 years, and so very proud of that. James Clemens obviously hadn't been to school for the last 10 years, so they couldn't qualify for that. But James Clemens had the number one prospect in the state of Alabama last year, LeBron Ray. And right now, James Clemens has 2 players at the University of Alabama. Bob Jones has 2. Not only that, but throughout the state of Alabama. Very proud that the offensive coordinator at Auburn University is a Bob Jones graduate, one of my kids, graduated in 92. He's the offensive coordinator at Auburn and doing very well. And we've got kids in football throughout the Southeast and through the nation. In every other sport, basketball, our girls' sports. Really, our girls' sports are, I almost want to say, stronger than our boys' sports. Our girls always, whether it be soccer or girls' basketball, girls swimming, boys swimming. Our athletic teams are every school, every sport has a chance to be very successful every year. Our teams are very good. But then we also have an outstanding chess program throughout and that's a somewhat new venture too. It's been going on for a number of years off and on, but our folks have really got serious about chess here in the last little bit. We have some chess masters that are playing tournaments all around the nation, and as it grows, started really strong at the grassroots level. As it grows, we're going to have some of the best chess players in America coming out of Bob Jones High School. And it's not only about competition chess. Chess is just such a cerebral game that it's really a game in which our kids are really forced to analyze things. And so that's a tremendous skill as we offer like I said, we offer every sport athletically. We offer so many extracurricular activities, whether it be, again, math club, we compete there, or Scholars Bowl. I mean, I could go on for an hour, but our kids really have a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things extracurricular.
Yeah, and one thing I'd share with our guests that my experience has been, and as a parent and as a spouse of a teacher, is there's a lot of activities and a lot of things for the children to get involved at, not only at the high school level, but even at the elementary school level and the middle school level, that you start them young, that they can start to develop an interest and a passion, so then they can kind of, what you were saying with the academies, as they're getting older trying to find a career choice, they can kind of do the same thing at an earlier age to find something that may interest them, to where they, can kind of explore something as they get older. And so I think it's really great that the school try to integrate that at an elementary level, to help them foster that for later in life, kind of, what passion they may have for some of the activities.
That's true. And speaking of elementary, if I may talk about this, one thing we're looking at with our elementary schools, one is if you go by any elementary school, there's cars there till late into the evening at every elementary school, whether they're doing something in drama, or something in whether it be some archery club, or whether it be again a scholars bowl, whatever. There's always something going on. But one thing at the elementary, we're really looking at our elementary schools and looking to see. We're going to be real aggressive in researching where we're going in our elementary schools. We got the best teachers and we got the best kids. We really believe that, and so what a great we want. One thing is all of our schools, K-12, we still are very. It's throughout America, but even us, even Madison City, we're progressive. We still very much are on the factory model. The whistle blows at 7, and the whistle blows at 3. You walk in, you sit down at 7, and leave at 3. It's still very much a factory model. We're not in the factory world anymore. And I say that jokingly. If you go into a school, teachers all the way from K to 12, there's no sitting in a classroom. It's not like that. But we're in school a long time during the day. So we're going to continue to explore with committees of teachers and parents, explore schedules, and see if we're utilizing all of our time the best way we can utilize it. We're looking at things like math. Why do all 7-year-olds take math with all 7-year-olds? They're not on the same level. So why do some 7-year-olds that are on certain level why don't they take math with 8 or 9-year-olds if they're on that level? Those are things we're going to explore. And the reason we don't do it right now is because of scheduling. Well, I can tell you that we live in one of the highest per capita PhD cities in all of America. I think we can figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, I promise you, people in our community that can come in and help me figure it out. And let me assure you, I want all the help I can get. And so I want to call in the community and say, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. I've got wonderful people in the system, but if somebody in the community, if we call in people and say, we've got 7 hours and 40 minutes a day of school. Now, let's figure out how we can make this and this work. I promise you, we got America's brightest people in our community. Bet you we can figure it out. So anyway, I'm excited about that.
That's great. I mean, it's really inspiring to hear that, you're not, we have a great track record. We're making good strides, but you're not just sitting and doing the same thing over and over and again. And, that you're looking for ways to improve. And I know the teachers in the system appreciate the fact that you are reaching out to them for feedback and input on changes and doing it. And that's important to not only progress, but it's important to have the support of everyone in the system as much as you can, so everybody's in the boat rowing in the same direction.
That's right. And of course, and I say this, everybody in the school system is important. Obviously, the most important people are the students. I mean, that's the reason we're here. If there weren't any students, we wouldn't. I mean, all the teachers and principals and superintendent, we wouldn't have anything to do. We wouldn't have a job by lunch. So obviously, the kids are the reason that we even exist. But with that said, I get in trouble for saying this, but I said out of love, the most important person in the school system. If I walk out the door, there's going to be some big decisions have to be made. At some point, somebody's going to say, "Has anybody seen Robby lately?" I mean, we got a big decision to be made. So they're going to be looking for me. Principals, very important. I was one for 13 years. I've been an administrator for 20 years, or for almost 20 years, for 18 years. And administrators, we can't do without them. But if an administrator walks out the building, at some point, somebody may say, "Have you seen so-and-so lately?" But the school's going to go to pot immediately. If a teacher walks out of the building, if the bell rings at 7:30 and the teacher's not in there at 7:32, there's problems. Who the most important people in the building are? That's the school teachers. They're the ones that make it happen. And so I know that good teachers are the foundation, and if you want to be successful, we better have good school teachers, and we got the best school teachers in the state and the city of Madison. And I love our school teachers. They are the rock. They're the foundation.
Well, I would concur there, and I think our viewers who know the school system would concur, and I think a lot of the parents in the school system would too. That my experience has been when I see parents or talk to other parents that have kids in the Madison City schools or that have been through the school system, they just not only rave about the academics, but rave about the interaction with the faculty and with the teachers, and that makes a big difference. But when you see the kids coming back, and I know when Shannon sees students that now she teaches, if we're at Bob Jones or James Clemens for a function, they come up, they give her a hug. It means something. That means that they still connected. They made a connection, and I think kids can sense fake. And they know when you're being real and you're relating to them, and when a teacher has a passion for it, I think it really makes a difference.
I agree with that.
The last thing I thought I'd touch on was, something that is we've kind of been touching on it throughout our show here, and that's growth. I mean, we've got so much going on. It's a good thing, but it's a difficult thing at best. I mean, I know there's been some changes and some things going on that's going to affect the school system year after next, in terms of moving the 6th grade over to the middle school and that kind of thing. And so talk to us and tell everybody that's watching a little bit about, what are some of the growing pains you've got and kind of what you're forecasting and what's on the horizon.
Well, we did a little bit of rezoning this year. I think everybody that lives in our town knows most of the growth is on the west side of town. That's obviously where the open space is, and that's where the new houses are going. And so on the east side of town is turning over in the sense that older parents, or many of them, are moving out. New young families are moving in. In fact, our east side of town is growing a lot faster than 99% of the schools in the state. Our west side of town is growing 10 times faster. So our challenges are this. As the east side continues to mature with its population and the west side is growing, you've got many of the schools on the west side, if we don't zone it right, that are going to be not only full, they're going to be overcrowded, and the east side won't be full. And so we've got to utilize all of our space. And there will be, this year we had to rezone some new emerging subdivisions, basically took them around to, there's two options I had. In the new emerging subdivisions, we took them around, some to Rainbow. A lot of the elementary students, we took some to Rainbow and some to West Madison. Some of the new subdivisions are going to Madison Elementary. And so as far as elementary goes, that's what we did. We took two very large emerging subdivisions that are just starting, and they're going to Discovery Bob Jones. We did not take them schools. That school was dirt, but they're coming on. And we're taking those to Discovery Bob Jones. At some point, we will either have to continue to move west side expansion and bring it around town to the east side, or move everybody 3 steps to the east. I mean, that's just the only thing you understand what I'm saying. Right. Just take everybody, we're going to move everybody 3 steps to the east. We're going to clear out a big part of the west side schools and make them empty and say every new house gets to move into the west side schools. Now that's 2 options. I'm not saying we're going to do, maybe there's more options, but either we got to take some people around to the east side, or we got to move everybody out of the west side, not everybody, but some out of the west side, and open up some west side space, because we keep building schools and let some of the schools be full. That's not a good use, especially when our city is only 6 miles wide. Again, if somebody was going to have to drive 25 miles to school, probably not a good idea. But you're literally talking about driving as far as you can from one side of town to the furthest extreme on the other side of town. It's only 6.1 miles. And so we're not talking about going real far. Right.
Well, and again, I think it dovetails back in the whole conversation, which is a good thing. I mean, it's showing that people want to be in the system, and they want to be in the system because the system is thriving, because all the opportunities that we've been talking about for the last half hour are there academically, athletically, and extracurricular activities. And it's just, it seems to me, unfortunately, the burden falls on you and the administrators and the board to kind of figure out the best way to make it work for the students and for the teachers and the parents. Robby, I want to thank you for today and thank you for sharing, a little bit about what's going on with the school system and all the opportunities that are there and doing. If somebody wants to get in touch with you or find out more information, about the school system or has questions, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, just send me an email. You can go to the website and send me an email. I can give my webmail address here, but you can just go to the website and find. I'm on the front page, but it's rparker@madisoncity.k12.al.us. But just go to Madison City Schools website and you go straight to me.
Yeah, and what I'll do, folks, is after the show later this evening, I'll go in. I'll put a link down at the bottom to the Madison City School System. So if anybody wants to find out more about what's going on in the school system, they can do that there. I'd also encourage everybody to, if your child goes to a particular school in Madison City Schools, if they're a student at Bob Jones or James Clemens or the like, follow that school system. A lot of those administrators, I follow them, are on Twitter or they have a page for the school. So you can check out what's going on in the school system, get notifications through Twitter or Facebook about what's going on, keep up with athletics. It's a great way to keep track of everything. And again, it's back to that right there, the society. It's an easy way to keep track of it. But Robby, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I want to thank you for all your hard work for our students in Madison City Schools. And I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Here, Morris, thank you. And listen, I would be remiss if I didn't say, obviously, I know you're biased toward your wife, but I can tell you she's an outstanding teacher. I've been in her classroom more than once, and I don't know if she's listening, but being that I'm on your show, I think I'd be in trouble if I didn't say Shannon Lillienthal is an outstanding teacher, as are all of our teachers. But thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Robby. Thank you so much for that. Thanks so much.
Sure. Thank you.